you so much. I love it. I love it. I love, Taylor, thank you for keeping it real. It's not any day you can go to a church and hear it sneaks up and it kicks your ass. So keep it real. I love it because it's true. This is life, isn't it? Life can do that. And it's also beautiful and it's also wonderful. And then that following line of come and take my hand. And so we weigh this right now. Feel this, everybody. We weigh this. See, there's a dynamic tension if we are willing to notice this. And that is that there is the struggle in this life. And then there is the joy and the beauty. And what is so challenging, I think, in this spiritual journey that we are on is to recognize all of it. All of it. Not solely the struggle and oh, this is horrible and oh my God, I don't know if I can go on and it's kicking my ass. To right our ship, if you will, and to remember and not but, and there is another element at play here, and that is love is always standing at the end of the day. Truth will win out. No matter what, truth is going to come out and win out. And so we hold these things. See, this is what I want to ignite you in tonight as we move into this hope cycle, is to become ignited into the spirit of real revolution of love. Because see, a revolution of love is not this or that. It's not all heart and it's not all mind. It's the complexities, everyone. This is going to require so much of us. And so that's why we take the time here. All of the pieces of just the service thus far at 6:40 right now, to honor, to pay our respects to the land, to amplify people's voices through music, to come together through song and celebrate, to listen to our mission and our vision statements so that we are centered and grounded in it. And there's no vagueness, there's clarity. To ask for your help, to come on board and be part of this thing. To elucidate ways to get involved. And then to, again, come back into this musical element that is heart opening and healing. And so we have a lot to hold, don't we? I said this the last couple sermons. I talked to last time we were finishing the Spirituality of Agitation series, and I discussed the importance of being able to experience feelings and emotions like anger, worry, doubt, despair, and fear, and that they are not things that we need to sidestep or to bypass. In fact, the more we do, what will happen is we will begin to disconnect from people, we will begin to disconnect from ourselves, and then in the disconnect comes othering, seeing groups of people outside of ourselves, and what happens then? A soul sickness, which is violence. It comes in many forms. There's no time for that now. And you know what? We're better than that if we choose. So we have so many tools and there are so many options and there is so much possibility. It's almost ludicrous how much possibility that we have. It is just a matter of choosing and setting our sights high. And as I've said in the prayer tonight, coming back to this ancient knowing. I'm completely off the page now from what, and I'll get there somehow. But I have to say this to you again, because I said it some weeks back and I'm being led to, how many of you knew things when you were a kid? How many of you just had this sense of something greater, something, yes, and you just knew something? See that, my friends, and we don't need to try and figure out like, well, what do you mean, Rev? Like, do you mean like I knew this or I knew that, or I don't worry about that. Don't worry it. Come back to the ancient knowing that is within all of us. This isn't even a religious thing. If you want to take it that way, that's fine. But I'm saying it's an expansive thing. There is part of us that always knew, that always knew. And this is where we need to come to tonight. And you know what? This does fall exactly in line with the hope cycle that we are going to begin in this moment. And Rob knows the hope cycle, as we have been on a project together that will be unveiled. Rob wrote beautiful music to this. So you are getting a sneak peek now of this hope cycle that is a deep journey into mysticism. It's a spiritual journey that starts in the desert and goes through to a waterfall where you bask in the water, which is love, which is
a ballerina in the world of an inanimate object.
And that too. And from there, you go into the jungle and you explore. And from there, you go into the cave to redefine and confine yourself. And at the end of the journey, my friends, in the 7th stage, which we will get to in probably about 2 months, because we're going to take our time, we make this ascension up to love. It's pretty cool. See, this is our journey. This is some would call this a similar thing of the hero's journey, if you're familiar with Joseph Campbell. It's our journey if we choose it. See, we have to choose this. And regardless of anything that has come before, any challenge, I want to say that, any challenge that you may have had, any challenge that you are having right now, and don't take this the wrong way, but there is no excuse. There's no excuse to not take the journey. No matter how much privilege you have, no matter how little privilege you might have, we must center our spiritual work, not later, now. And as Chris said, to commit. See, when we show up as sacred vessels of the holy, like warriors or warrioresses, and that spiritual warfare is going on. See, nothing, when we are tapped and connected into our knowing, will be able to block that. So let us go now, my friends. Let us go. Imagine with me, and I had a thing earlier. That was really cheap. It was a desert backdrop, and it just didn't work. So ixnay on the desert day, backdrop bay, whatever. We're going to just imagine, which imagination is a beautiful thing. Yes. We're going to imagine now in our mind's eyes, in our mind, that we are in the desert. I'm going to say we this time. I usually say you, but let's say we're in this together. Yes. Let's forget the individualism. So we are in the desert, which we have been. So much is going on. And imagine crawling, like we're crawling on our hands and knees, and maybe you're thirsty. And your stomach, you haven't eaten, your stomach is twisted. And you're just, you're barely able to keep going. you're barely able to keep going. This is the first stage of this hope cycle. You know what this is? This is the de profundis moment. That is scripture, the de profundis moment. The out of the depths of despair, we cry out to you. Some would say God. Out of the depths of despair, we cry out. That is this moment. You might have had that moment this week. You may be going through something extremely significant. Maybe it's not necessarily a challenge, but it's significant. Maybe it's an initiation in your soul. Maybe it is a medical issue. Maybe it's just all of the collective energy that is happening right now. If you might feel those things very strongly and be very sensitive to that, yeah. And so it is that moment, my friends. Out of the depths of despair, we cry out. Maybe it's 3 a.m. where you can't call anybody because no one is there to call. Well, you can phone home to the Holy, to the Great Spirit, to the Goddess, to Allah, to whatever you call it, Jesus, Shekhinah, whatever you might call it, love, your higher self. And yet it's that part where you just want someone to come with you. You know, you don't want to be in that de profundis moment, that out of the depths of despair. You just, and you know what? No one might be able to do that. There are moments in this life where no one and nothing can come. That is this moment in the desert. That is what I am outlining. That is what we are entering. That is the first part of this first stage. At the end now, in about however many minutes, I will take you to the end of the stage. So let's lift the needle up off the record, because that stage doesn't end there on our knees. No. Let's switch gears. When I was a kid, I got a cookbook. This is not the actual cookbook. I bought this later on. This is called the Good Time Cookbook. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? And I loved this cookbook. My parents know. I don't know if you might remember, Mom and Pop. But I love this. There was a recipe I loved the most, and that was for, I gotta make sure this doesn't fall apart. It's very, this one is old, whoever this was. The tasty toast topper. This recipe, my friends, the tasty toast topper, I loved this. Why? Because all you needed was a piece of bread, peanut butter, orange juice, and raisins. Okay, it sounds weird. I loved it. I mean, Mom and Dad know. I was making this all the time. You take the peanut butter and the raisins, the orange juice, and you mixed it up, the mixture, and then you take the bread and you toast it, and that's it. You scrape it on the toast. I loved this. I loved this recipe. I could do it. See, there was the pan bread. I couldn't make the pan bread. It was too hard for me. I was really little, but this one I could do. It was simple. It was easy. It wasn't hard. It was not complex. I could do it. And isn't that the case? This ties in with what I actually said at the outset, right after Taylor's song. Isn't that the case for life at some point? And you might have to go very, very far back for this, like when you were really, really little, to remember that time where life, it wasn't complex. It was simple and easy. It was like the tasty toast topper. It was predictable. You knew what was going to go on. Maybe you went to school, you came home, you did your homework, maybe prayerfully you had a meal, you had a bed to sleep in. It was very predictable. It was very simple. It was very easy. But then life starts to happen. You know, Taylor in his bio talked about that. things started to happen in Taylor's life. Things started to happen in your life. Things started to happen in our lives that bring in those complexities. Remember earlier I talked about it's not just this, it's not just that. You know, we want that. See, that's the fantasy. And see, we walk around as adults thinking in this fantastical way that life is supposed to be very simple and easy. It's not. That's the joke. That's the rub. The fantasy has to die so your dreams can fly. The fantasy has to die so your dreams can fly, my friends. See, we get caught up in this fantastical thinking. So gone are the days of the tasty toast topper. If life goes on, gone is the days of those simple 4 ingredients, and in comes maybe 31 flavors. You know, more and more we get put on our plates. And however are we supposed to hold it? And maybe some of those things are the othering, the bullying you might have experienced, or I don't know why this came through my mind, just things that have happened to you, I'll say it like that. All these different experiences that might have, as we talked about a few weeks back, put the wall in front of your heart. And then therefore we end up, maybe just too many bricks in front of our hearts. We end up in that dark night of the soul, the de profundis moment in the desert. We end up in that desert experience. So what to do? What to do? And I think the question that begins to come in is, why am I here? There's the who am I question, yes. Why am I here? And in this moment, I ask you, are you living the life you were supposed to live? Are you living the life you're supposed to live? Are you surviving? Are you crawling on your hands and knees in that desert? Or no, maybe you're in the desert, but you're going along, you're on your feet. Yeah, you're living. Are you thriving? Surviving, living, are you thriving? Oh, that's a joyous place to be. Are you living the life you're supposed to live? Just notice. So we're going to have to do something about that, my friends. And if you are, great. And if you're not, it's okay. We're going to do something about that tonight. Let's generate some hope. If we're going to be in the desert, let's remember that we are not alone. And that's why I think Spirit led me to say we. Because in this holy moment, even though we are on this screen, and this is very different, we are together. And I say this a lot, but we must remember this, that we are together. Look around like we do. Just look around for a moment and just check each other out like we do. It's very important. Just take one another in. Yes. I like seeing those smiles on Chris's face. I see Mylene, I see Sherry smiling, just picking it. There's Mark. Yeah. Jasmine, welcome. See, we must remember that. Let us not have any lies. No lies, no separation. No separation. Let us remember spiritual maturity is going to be where it's at. And that is that choice. Gone are the days of the tasty toast topper. Those 4 ingredient kind of lifestyles. Yeah, it's just not a reality, folks. It's 31 flavors and then some, you know. Life throws things. It's all of it. It's the kicks you in the ass, as Taylor's saying, and it's here's my hand. Take my hand. And it's everything in between. And the more we realize that, the more we're going to be resourced. And as I talk about emotional containers, we are going to be that much more spiritually resourced. And do you know what that means? Follow it. You will be able to get out there however out there means, and really do the work in the world, because none of us get a pass. We have to bring something, my friends. We are not just sitting here like, what is that, dumps on a log or what have you? We're not just sitting here for that. And I know some of you are already doing that work. And so more of your thing then might be having this inner resource. Okay. Some of you might be out there all the time. And so for you, like, I know Evie is a big activist. Her and I have journeyed together. John is also that. Maybe for folks, and I'm not singling them out, I don't know. I'm just saying maybe for folks that are out there, it's more about coming in into that deep place of spiritual alignment. See, that's what Revolution of Love is doing. It's working you at different angles, meeting you where you are at. So what have we gone over? Let's go over this one more time so I'm clear. And then I'm going to give you 6 things to hope in, 6 of them. And if Mylene or somebody wants to write them down, or whoever, scribe in the chat, great. But I want to go over this right now. So we are recognizing that there are complexities in this life, that it is not just this, it is not just that. If we continue to believe that, there's no drama in this life, well, you know what? There is drama. Things are dramatic. Okay. And so what? There is also beauty. There is also love. There is also friendship. There's also community. It is so many different things. Gone are the days of the tasty toast. Tasty toast topper. Sorry. And we welcome it. Let us welcome that spirit and go, okay, let us be ignited. And so to come further now into this dimension of this hope cycle, before we end that stage and you're going to experience something, I pray, 6 things to hope in, and then you're going to seed into it. I want to hear voices, so get ready. I want you to come off mute and I'll let you know when. The first thing, my friends, that we can get hope in, that we can take hope in, I guess that's a way to say it, is the breath. The breath. We have hope in the breath. We do this every day at service. I'm sure some of you that have a spiritual practice, you breathe, you breathe, you breathe, whether it's through your meditation, whether it's through your grounding. We do it at the top of the service. We do it throughout the service. We do it, well, not at the end of service. We could. The breath. We breathe for those that are no longer breathing. It's an honorific aspect. We breathe to open our hearts, to get connected, to, like I said, to ground. So do this. In fact, let us take the breath, breathing in. And allow that expansion of your heart, your chest cavity, and breathing out. There's hope in the breath. There is hope in the breath. If we are breathing, I'm still here. We're still here. All is not lost. There is hope in the breath. The second thing is there is hope in rest. Hope in the breath. Number 2, there is hope in rest. What I want us to practice this week is intentional rest. Rest is a form of resistance, as many scholars say. The Nap Ministry, look them up at the Nap Ministry on Instagram. Really important. There is, when we're thinking about hope, we have to remember the element of rest. See, that is a great form to push back on this grind culture, this constant thing. I gotta do this, I gotta do that, this urgency. That is white dominant culture, that is white supremacy culture. See, it filters in. It filters into everything, and we don't even know it, and it is part of that. So if we want to pick up another tool to push back, take rest. There is hope in rest, and do it intentionally. Do it intentionally. Carve out 1 hour. No screens, nothing. 1 hour out of your day. Don't even meditate. Rest. Take a nap. Hope and breath. Hope and rest. The third thing is hope and dreaming. Do you remember the God goggles? Some of you might remember the God goggles, I hope. There is something very effervescent about taking time to dream. Or another way of saying it is to imagine, to create. Dream, my friends. Take time in your days, in your week, to dream. When was the last time? When was the last time you had a fantastic, well, I guess I shouldn't use the word fantasy. See, I caught myself. When was the last time you had a thought or an idea or a vision that was beyond thoughts and words, that some might say to you, oh, that's crazy making? When was the last time? And when did you really entertain it? When did you really massage it? When did you really discover the nuances and the folds of it? Take the time to dream. There's hope there. There's hope in the place of dreaming. And it's expansive and it's visionary. And that's when we put those God goggles on and we see everything in a new way. Number 4. So we got hope and breath, hope and rest, hope and dreaming. Woo, this is a lot of hope. And hope and expressing. And hope and expressing is going to go back to last sermon, my friends. And it goes a little bit back to the first hope, which is the breathing. When we are, pardon me, not expressing, experiencing, there's hope in experiencing. If you are angry, if you are afraid, if you are, I don't know, afraid, scared, anxious, worried, doubtful, it means you are still here. You're still in the fight. You might be in the desert, but you're still here. It is always scary to me when the lights go dim in someone because there's nothing. It's apathy. It's a very, there's no buoyancy. See, where there's anger, where there's even the fear, experience it. There is hope in that. It reminds us that we are alive. We are still here. We are still fighting. We are still struggling. We are still striving. We are still living. Yes. So hope in the breath, hope in the rest, hope in the dreaming, hope in the expressing. Now let's shift it to us. There's hope in community. Find your communities. If this is one, great. I hope it is. Some of you, I think it must be because you keep coming back. So that's really good. There's hope in community. Find your communities. The lie that wants to separate us, saying that we are alone, is a big lie. And it comes like a thief in the night. And it tries to separate us. And we must not be separated. We must remember the I goes to a we. And we are in this together, in community. There is hope in community. I'm going to pause for this last 6th thing. I'm just going to ask you, as we've gone over, let us take a breath, actually, breathing in. I know I've given you a lot to maybe chew on, perhaps. Hope in the breath, hope in the rest, hope in the dreaming, hope in the experiencing, hope in the community. Now, I'd like you to, if you feel comfortable, just come off mute and say, where do you find hope? Come off mute and say wherever you find hope.
Faith.
What? Prayer. Praying.
My God.
Embrace.
My daughter.
Mm,
Community.
Meditation.
yes. Others.
Releasing.
Releasing.
Action.
Action.
Beekeeping.
Beekeeping.
Open-mindedness.
Open-mindedness. How about willingness? Find hope.
Yeah.
Willingness.
What else?
Contemplation.
Contemplation.
Music.
Music. Thank you, Jenny. Hope in music. Sorry?
Friends.
Friends. Hope in friends. So, others? Paul?
Dancing.
Dancing? Yeah, hope in dancing. There, yes, Michelle knows that, the biodanza queen over there. Inclusion, hope in motherhood. Yes, yes. So just in a matter of a minute, maybe, think of all these places, all these pieces where you generate hope. And if and when there are moments where you find yourself in a de profundis moment, I want us to pick up one of those hope generators, whether it's friendship, whether it's open-mindedness, whether it's motherhood, whether it is just the fact that you're alive. Like, well, I am still here. I don't know why, but I am here. Whether it's, I'm going to take a nap right now. I'm exhausted. I'm going to intentionally take myself like a child, like you would a child, to care for and to nurture. Or you know what? I'm going to experience this emotion and this feeling because I'm sorry, I won't swear. My parents are here because I'm mad and I'm going to experience it because it's a holy rage. And I'm going to maybe call someone up to have them sit with that with me, a trusted person, a trusted companion. See, the possibilities for us to move out of the doldrums, that of the de profundis moment in the desert, the possibilities, my friends, are endless to move and to generate the hope that is necessary. And you know what happens now at the end stage? There's a hope in love. There is a hope in love. And I don't mean any kind of whimsical love. I'm talking about that high heart love. I'm talking about what you know. I want to speak right past any just, yeah, I want to go past into that place of the mystical, the mysticism, because we know, my friends, we know. Now you might use different language, but we know that there is a place where no hurt, harm, and danger can come near. That because that is, you were made in this. You were made in this holy love. You were made in an absolute divinity. That is the place. And it's not just about you. You know it about the world. You know things. There is something that calls to you in the night. There is something that speaks to you. And all of that ancient knowing, my friends, there is the hope. That is the ascension to love. And that is where we are seeking to go throughout our lives. At the end of the stage, as we were crawling, not I, not me, as we are crawling, I'm going to change this in this moment. I'm going to change this right now. I've never done this. I want us to imagine if you're on that desert floor, we turn and we notice and we look around, we realize we're together. We're together. And in that moment of turn and noticing all of the folks that may be struggling too, in the beauty and in the complexity not the tasty toast topper, fantastical world. What comes before us? The divine spark that is hope. The divine spark that is hope. This is what makes us go on and reminds us that we are still here, that we are alive, and that there are things in this life worth living for. And we have to keep on loving, and we have to continue to learn and continue to challenge ourselves. Welcome to the revolution of love. May it be so, even now. Feel free to put the prayer requests in the chat and let us center